Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. I'm Sheng Peng, editor-in-chief of San Jose Hockey Now. You can also find my work at MEC Sharks on Twitter, Sheng_Peng, on Blue Sky, Sheng Peng, on Instagram. Find us at San Jose Hockey Now. And also, please watch and subscribe on YouTube.
That's quite the intro, Sheng. I'm Keegan McNally. You can find me. You can find me on Twitter at @half_hockey, my website half-wallhockey.com, or at San Jose Hockey Now.
And I'm Zubair. You can find me right here or San Jose Ice playing some beer league.
And I am Dan motherfucking Boyle, and you can find me at Cordoval on Wednesdays and Fridays. Kicking some ass on the golf course. We're trying to.
There you go. What's your handicap?
I'm down to a 2.7, which is way too low. There is something to be said about playing the same course all the time. Cordoval, which is amazing. If anyone has the chance to go play there, please do. I believe it's the best course in the Bay Area. But playing it twice a week, there's like a home ice advantage. And playing there, I'm shooting, 72, 75, 74, 78, 74, and then I'll go somewhere else.
Wait a minute, isn't Pebble Beach technically in the Bay Area, or you're not counting?
Yeah, I mean, but I'm amenities, and I mean those are great too. I guess I was talking within a 45-minute radius.
Okay.
Where I'm at. I mean, no, all those courses over there are pretty stunning, honestly. But pound for pound, I think Cordoval with amenities and all that I don't think there's a better place.
Nice.
Well, we found
our next sponsor. Oh. There it is.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Before we get to the main topic today, we're going to talk about Luca Cagnoni today. Of course, we have Dan Boyle to talk about Luca Cagnoni, so that's perfect. But before we get to that, word from our sponsor, Bring Hockey Back, bringhockeyback.net. Go to Bring Hockey Back, t-shirts, hockey jerseys, custom hockey jerseys for any kind of company occasion for your beer league team. Go to bringhockeyback.net. Also t-shirts like this Macklin one I'm wearing right now. So anyway, bringhockeyback.net, coupon code San Jose Hockey Now. Once again, San Jose Hockey Now, coupon code for 15% off.
Did we lose any sponsors after the first podcast?
No, we didn't. We didn't. Yeah.
Did we gain any sponsors?
No, we haven't yet. So
we gained multiple subscribers, though. I think overall the episode was very well received.
The human centipede watches went through the roof, though.
Yeah, those people came out of the woodwork, and
honestly, we don't want them. We don't want.
Might want them to go back.
One of the highest rated movies of all time now.
I think we figured out the shirt that Bring Hockey Back is going to make for Boilers now.
Oh,
Boilers face on a human centipede.
The front,
the front or the ass?
Yeah, the front. He said you want to be
just on the front.
All right,
numero uno. Yep. All right, so I got some good news to share. Wife pregnant, and figured out I'm going to have a daughter. So I'm super excited.
Right. Congratulations. Cheers.
Thanks. Cheers, boys.
Cheers, brother. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. It's the first. And so my wife and I sent out like an email to letting know, close friends and family. And we also sent some questions out to parents that we know that, we really respect their parental style. And we asked a bunch of questions. So Boilers, I thought I'd ask you, your father, two girls,
two teenage girls.
Yeah. Did you get the email? I didn't get the email.
No, I did not get the email. But my daughter turned 15 yesterday, and then my other one is 16. So soon to be 17. So I'm in it right now. But happy to share some stories or answer some questions that you have.
I mean, let's hear some fatherly advice. A lot of the stuff that we were asking is like infancy stuff, but then we had like bigger things like, I don't know, like what's something you stressed about early on that you shouldn't have? That was like one we asked.
That I shouldn't have. Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
How to get them into hockey.
You know what? I tried and it didn't work. Yeah, no, they didn't want to do hockey. They were, they wanted nothing to do with hockey, really. I will say this. I mean, this might not answer your question right away, but the first 11 years of my daughter's lives were the greatest 11 years of all time. Right now, I'm in the teenage years, and for the teenage parents that are listening out there, they're going to know what I'm talking about. Not so much the greatest years. I mean, wow. But before then, so first things first, enjoy the first 10.
Okay.
The first year is pretty much you're just carrying a little sack of milk, basically.
Yeah.
Canadian. In Canada, we have milk in like a little bag. That's pretty much what you're carrying around for the first year. And there's not a whole lot to do, besides feeding and bathroom stuff. So that's pretty simple. Catch a nap when you can. They have. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a good advice for you because you and I listen to music. So they have these really cool. I had a Pink Floyd one. I had a Bob Marley one where it plays it in like kid songs.
Oh,
like,
ooh!
So you just put it in, and instead of like listening to like you go crazy, you're listening like a Pink Floyd album, but that's done with like kid sounds, and it's actually really awesome. So advice one for you, Papa.
All right.
Love it.
I know what to get Zubair for his baby shower. Beatles.
Right?
I had DVDs. Right? Yeah. 16 years ago, they were DVDs. Now you could probably just get it on your phone, but I used to put my little DVD and headphones or not headphones. Sorry, put the DVD and put play so that obviously my daughter could hear it. And
I love it.
It was a good way to
great advice.
Rock them to sleep to like Pink Floyd was way better than listening to the Teletubbies or whatever.
Oh yeah, or just like white noise, which is like what people are always saying to put on.
Yeah,
play something you can bear too. I hate.
Put on the white album instead of white noise.
Yeah, there you go.
Me and my fiance babysat one of our friends' kids for one day, and I felt the amount of like Mickey Mouse that I heard made me want to just die. I was like, I can't do this anymore. Mickey has said the same thing 27 times. I can't do it.
When you were telling me about that baby music, my dad bought me a Smurfs, like doing like a bunch of like greatest hits, and it was like the Smurfs did Beach Boys.
Yeah.
Did you guys remember this album?
I do. But Smurfs, they have the high pitch.
And it drove me crazy.
I know if I want that.
That's way too much.
Exactly.
To get through that.
It was hardly bearable as a kid. As an adult, I don't know how I would.
Keegan, can I ask you, because you are about to be married yourself? Kids in the future? What's
Yeah, I'm 34. My fiance's 28. So she's like, maybe when she's 30. So I'll be an old man by then. I'll be, Boyle's age.
Right?
That was mostly a compliment, I think.
Oh, that's all right. I like it. If you're gonna talk shit, you gotta
live around here, Keegan. All right.
I will reverse answer your question, Zubair. What I am proud of with my daughters was obviously what I learned in life was to never give up on myself, believe in myself, be strong, always work hard, work ethic. You're going to hear me say work ethic. That should be like every time I say work ethic, people should just like start drinking shots. They're going to be pretty bummed by the third
work ethic to the end.
But I taught both my girls at a young age to work and whether we were playing games or whatever, it was never like nothing was handed. It was always they had to earn everything, and they didn't beat me for years at a lot of things. But when they did, oh good Lord! But both of them are very confident teenage girls, and I'd like to think, hopefully, the way that I raised them was partially due to that. But they're both amazing kids. They both believe in themselves. They're strong. They know that now in their teenage years, some bad things are coming around the corner, but told them just believe in yourself. Don't fall for peer pressure, and you guys will be great. So, so far so good.
That's great advice. Thank you. Speaking of that, some of the research I saw showed that kids that do chores outperform other children that are not meant to do chores as a kid.
Really? Holy shit,
significantly, like in academia, work, career wise, everything. So
God damn it, I need kids now. I need labor.
Yeah.
I got 48 acres in case parents that are listening want to bring over some 5-year-olds to
your kids are graduating out of work.
No, my kids are way past that. I'm sure it's totally legal. It's fine. They're good.
It's fine. Children yearn for the mines.
That's a dark turning. That was because of me. So.
Well, you brought up music, Boiler. So I see you got a Nirvana shirt on there.
Yeah, I do.
Let's go.
I don't think about one of my other little quirks is I get dressed from left to right. I hang up my t-shirts, my pants or whatever, and I just the next one in line. And so it's not like I picked this one out. It was next one in line. But yeah, but Nirvana, like most of us people that were born in the 90s, or not born, but grew up in the 90s, how could you not like the grunge scene and Nirvana? And they were a huge part of my life. And later on in life, I was standing in the Ottawa airport, which is a tiny little airport. And I look across the way, and I was married then, and I said, I think, is that Pat Smear? And I'm like, Mac's wife's like, who's Pat Smear? And I'm like, that's the freaking guitarist for like Nirvana at the time. He now has been with Foo Fighters for years. And yeah, and we became friends, and that's just a total random like name drop story. But yeah, Nirvana certainly for me in the 90s was one of my favorite bands.
Can I share my most shameful music story? And you guys will probably boot me off the podcast.
Can't be worse than Human Centipede, so go.
It might be worse, actually. So, okay, so imagine this. So 12-year-old Sheng, going to middle school. It's 1993. Okay, yeah, a lot pudgier, very, very uncool, bigger glasses, bigger face, a lot of very, very uncool things. Anyway, so this is 1993.
I think you were probably pretty cool.
No, I wasn't. Thank you, Luca. I appreciate it. So, 1993. So, 1993. Think of the music in 1993. Nirvana, Dr. Dre just drops The Chronic, Green Day, Snoop Dogg, Doggy Style, Smashing Pumpkins. So, the music I was into though when I was this age, and you guys will hold this against me. So, my favorite music was Chicago, and not even like kind of cool Chicago of the 70s, but like You're the Inspiration Chicago.
You're the inspiration. Oh God,
the Karate Kid song, the Peter Cetera, "Glory of Love." So, anyway, yeah, that's how uncool I was.
Wow, you had a lot of friends in high school. That, all you and your Chicago buddies.
Zero. Now, I did get into cool music eventually. The first, I think. I was into Bruce Springsteen in the 90s when everybody had kind of jumped off the Bruce Springsteen bandwagon. And now he's hip. I mean, over the last like 15 years or so, now he's hip now. And so I'll say that to kind of clean up my reputation. But at that specific moment in 1993, when there's so much cool music going on and all, I was at the age to be into cool music. I was into Chicago.
Good Lord. Woo, we just lost a sponsor.
Yeah.
If the Human Centipede didn't do it, it was Chicago.
No, I think that's pretty inoffensive.
Bring hockey back is gone.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Well, why don't we ask Keegan and Zubair just to finish this off? What did you guys listen to, say, in the 90s? So in your early teens.
So I was early 90s. So my dad got me a 5-disc CD changer that I had in my room, and he took me out and I got to buy 5 CDs to fill it. And I have 1 hard regret and 4 that like were awesome. The regret, I'll just tell you, the only thing worse than Vanilla Ice is Vanilla Ice Live.
At least it wasn't snow. So
they were all sold out. So I picked up the Vanilla Ice Live record again, like the Smurfs record. You're at that age, I was like, this is trash. But the other ones were Nirvana Unplugged.
Okay.
Green Day's Dookie, Counting Crows, August, and everything.
You're such a cool kid, Zubair. Oh.
And then Collective Soul. I had an older sister who was cool.
Okay.
So I would she'd feed me little tidbits, and then I'd go. And then she snaked Dookie off of me because it had like the explicit thing on the front. And then she ratted me out and was like, you can't let him listen to this, and stole it. So, and then I threw away the Vanilla Ice. So I was on those 3, and Nirvana's the one that survived in the Counting Crows one, actually. And those just like every day listening. And that's the one I think Pat Smear, like, I don't know if he was always in it, but he joined.
He joined right around the Unplugged, that live. Unplugged
he had that like American, like the red, white, and blue acoustic.
In
the back. I love. Yeah, he was killer.
He was like, he came from this band that no one would probably know about. They're called the Germs. They were very like influential and underground, kind of like. But no, I mean for sure. Anyways, so yeah, Pat Smear.
This is the moment when I realized that I am the youngest one on this podcast.
Well, late 90s for you because you're 34, so you're born in 1990, right? So
yeah, so like I did not have teens in the 90s, so I wasn't listening to so much music. You can tell.
Do you have a Britney Spears? Yeah, Baby One More Time.
I was that was probably my older sister was around that Britney Spears like turn of the millennium kind of stuff. If you can tell, I have not have had the same haircut since high school. Probably like an emo kind of punk guy.
Yeah.
I actually on Sunday went to see My Chemical Romance at Fenway Park. So if that's that was actually
Black
pretty
Parade.
amazing. The Black Parade. It was
very good.
Fan-fucking-tastic. I've never seen it before, and it was like I was reliving my early 2000s life again as a 34-year-old. So that was it was awesome. And the whole like Fenway Park was just like lit up with like it was amazing. Yeah, so emo punk kind of thing was my jam mostly in the early 2000s. So
all right.
And I've had the haircut ever since. You know, it's like the swoop across the side, never leaves.
I think Jerry Seinfeld has that thing where he's like, I think it's a Seinfeld joke where he's like, men dress at the peak of their life and then they stop in that phase and never change their style.
Yeah. I peaked in high school for sure.
Yeah. So
cool.
All right, boys. Well, we got lots of great news today. Lots of great Sharks news. Let's start right at the top with some good news. Michael Misa signing his ELC. Sheng, what are your thoughts?
Well, like I mentioned a couple of months ago, never had interest in NCAA. He confirmed that today. And this was going to happen at some point. There is still the problem, though, that we talked about a couple weeks ago, and I also wrote about today, that when Dickinson and Misa, they played their 10th game, their contracts count toward the 50. And right now the Sharks are at 49 to 50 contracts. So that's a problem. You can't go over that. So they'll still need to get rid of a contract eventually, presuming that Michael Misa and Sam Dickinson make it to their 10th game. And I'm going to get ahead of Dan here. Yes, I do think that Michael Misa will stay the whole season with the Sharks. Forward's a different position in defense. That's why I'm not as sure about Dickinson. But anyway, though, so yeah, just it was sort of something that we knew that was going to happen. Well, we're not exactly sure when. I think Macklin Celebrini said today at the NHL Player Media Tour that I think last week that he and Misa were talking about it. And Misa said he signed it this morning, but he was saying, oh, yeah, my parents knew about it already. So it wasn't like one of those like big surprise events or whatever. But anyway, all good news all around. Should mention just it's a good reminder that the Rookie Faceoff is this week. The Sharks play on Friday the 12th and Saturday the 13th down in Irvine. I will be there for that. Hopefully see some of you guys there.
Great. I also think Misa will be up all year, for the record. Do we do the thing with the 19-year-old thing that you guys talked about last episode? There's room for one.
We're not sure if that's going to happen or not. And anyway, that doesn't apply to Misa. That would apply to Dickinson because Misa's 18, Dickinson's 19. So
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So no matter what, he has to play in the NHL or the CHL now.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay. So
follow-up question. Do you guys think what I said on a couple episodes ago that at the end of the season, he will take the number 2C spot?
I have some, if they trade like Wenberg at some point in the season, cause it's his last year before his UFA.
Yeah.
Maybe I say like in roster spot only, maybe like, I don't think like truly he's at that 2 for sure. I think that's still a couple years away, but maybe in just on the roster spot level if they trade Wenberg.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that will happen sooner than later. I can see that happen by the end of the season. So I'm gonna be with you on this one.
All right.
I'm super excited to have hockey back. Like just like all of the like the prospect tournaments, all like the OHL and WHL is coming back, and QMJHL already had a lot of preseason stuff. Just super excited to have something to watch. Like as a guy who watches a lot of prospect hockey, like this is what we wanted. It feels like the summer was way too long, to be honest.
Yeah.
One of the interesting things that today they had like a Rookie Faceoff availability today. And so I also watched Michael at the captain skate yesterday. And so I was just kind of curious what some of the the guys thought of his game so far. And granted, it's just, I mean, Dan, you can speak to this part of it. Captain skate, it's not very physical or whatever, right? But I asked Colin Graff what stood out about Michael Misa so far, because he has been playing with Misa the last couple of weeks here. And he said that, of course, Colin can't tell me if he's NHL ready, but the most NHL ready or NHL parent skills that Misa has, that at least according to Colin Graff, were his shot, and also just a general ability just to make plays. And he kind of compared it to Macklin and Will last year, that just he's able to make plays. He knows his time and space out there. And so that's anyway something for all of us to look forward to Rookie Faceoff and see what he's got in those categories.
What you guys obviously know are how tall is he? What's his weight?
6'1".
Yeah. Is he pretty?
He's a real 6'1", and he's listed at 182. I'm not sure, but he looks thicker though than Will Smith though, right? Last year, I think at this point. I don't know what you
probably than when Will started, probably. Yeah. But he looks lean overall for 6'1".
He is,
yeah.
Well, I can say this with absolute certainty. It doesn't even have to be hockey, it can be golf or anything. Confidence is huge. So at some point, whether it's game 10, game 30, or game 40, obviously with Macklin, it happened pretty early. Oh yeah, we can't swear on here.
You can swear. You can't motherfucking Boyle.
I think I swear like
where's the less growth?
For a second, I was like,
Boyle.
I think once the confidence comes into play, and then he seems like he's a decent sized kid. He's got a good shot. Once that confidence comes in, I think he's gonna. But the captains or the camp, or not the camp, sorry, the captain's practice and stuff, guys will pull him aside. He's going to get a feel of how a little bit quicker it is, how bigger the guys are. Yeah. But the real wake up will be in training camp. That'll be when guys don't fuck around and let them skate by or whatever. So that'll be the real wake up call, and then you get some good preseasons in, get that confidence going, and then after that, it's just a matter of finding your footing. And sometimes, like I said, sometimes it could take years for some guys. But I don't think that'll be the case. But once he finds his confidence, I think he'll from that moment on, he's going to be great.
Yeah, Keegan, we didn't get your vote. Do you think that Misa will be here the whole year? I assume that you think so, but yeah.
I think so. I think the mold is kind of there with Will Smith. I think if there was a way, I think Will Smith went back to the NCAA for a year, and I think he was a better player for it when he came to the NHL. I think the ultimate scenario, he probably would do something similar to that, like go to the NCAA or another level for a year. But because of the way that he came out of the OHL and he can't go back there because he had 100 and bajillion points last year, it is too good for the OHL. This is the only way to make it work. And I think the Sharks have the mold with what they did with Will Smith, where they they sat him a couple games. Sometimes they kind of limited his minutes. They told him you're going to struggle. And he did struggle. He had a lot of times where he wasn't the player he is or was at the end of the season at the beginning of the year. And that was good for him. He saw what it took to get up to speed. And one thing that Misa has over Smith is Misa's just a faster player than Smith is overall. I think just he has the speed that Smith never really had, even if, Smith's got other skills that Misa doesn't. So I think he's going to be just fine to stick in the NHL. It's just going to be, gauging how much impact he's having every night and then kind of limiting his minutes when they need to, because he's gonna struggle for sure, I think.
Sure.
Everybody but Macklin struggles because Macklin's just fucking Macklin, he still struggles, but not to the same extent that other guys will.
But you mentioned something too. Opportunity is key, and some players, coaching staff are going to be a little more. They're going to reduce his minutes. They're going to scratch him every couple of games. There's going to be some growing pains. Like you said, Macklin's story is anything but that. But that's on the coaches and the GMs to see how they want to treat it, how the team's doing. That's important too. I don't think you want to, if the Sharks go, let's not even talk about that. Hopefully the team's playing well and he's getting his minutes in and go from there. But there's going to be
sustained interest in this podcast for a couple of months, Dan. So
there's going to be I think there's a game plan that could waver depending on how well the team does.
Sure.
Fair. Yeah. Sheng and I have been through some very tough seasons on this podcast. It was just Sheng and I like every night going, this is terrible. So
we didn't drink like this.
We should have. I don't know why we did it.
I know.
God. I mean, one of the reasons, like, even to Boyler's point is like, when you talk about the confidence thing, Misa's always had that confidence. And we talked about it last week too, that swagger. Like he's like, I'm playing in the NHL. Like he's
an exceptional kid too in OHL.
Exceptional stats, 15, right? Like,
yeah.
That's a rare breed right there.
Gives you some balls, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And he made it out alive, right? So and only improving every year. So yeah. I'm pretty bullish on him. I think he's going to take the number 2 C spot and play all season.
And on the Smith point too, I think that Misa is more ready as an 18-year-old than Smith would have been out of his draft year. We don't know that for sure because obviously Smith went back to BC, but we did see Smith at development camp right after he got drafted in 2023. I think Misa is ahead of him. I think actually so. Well ahead of him, I would say. So.
Yeah. All right. Well, then on to the next bullet point.
What I want to talk about too, the interesting thing that Misa said when I think it was on your article, maybe Sheng, where somebody said like,
yes, promote it.
Why did it take so long? Yes, on SanJoseHockeyNow.com.
That was my first question, actually. What took so long? That was
and he said I couldn't tell you or something like that. I was like, well, I mean, it's between his agent, obviously, but that's interesting to me. That like, I mean, I guess it's just the machinations of what's going on behind the scenes, like why they had to wait for 3 months or whatever. But just interesting that we were all sitting there like, is he going to college? Is he going to the NHL? And he doesn't even know. He's like, I couldn't tell you. I was ready to sign yesterday.
NCAA, right? And I assume he always knew he was going to sign. But just the exact machinations, we're not sure yet. We'll talk more about contracts, Carey Price in a little bit. But anyway, though, we'll find out more. We'll get Mike in about a week or so. So maybe Mike Rick answer some of these questions about why specifically it took so long with Misa, because you can sign these contracts and they don't count against the 50 because they haven't got to their 10th game yet. So they could have signed Misa earlier, but I'm not really exactly sure why they didn't. But and maybe Michael doesn't actually know. he just knew he was going to sign at some point, and that's all he knew. So maybe he kind of knew what we knew.
That's fair. All right. And then this one kind of put all Sharks fans in a spin for a day, but Clowe goes back to New York.
In the same job, too.
In the same job.
At least as far as we know. So, yeah. So, obviously, Ryane Clowe, he joined the Sharks last year as a AGM. And now he goes back to the Rangers a year later. He had come from the Rangers, too, though. A year later, back to the same role. And so, just kind of digging on a little bit. I mean, he said it was kind of family reasons. It was kind of interesting, the timing of it, in terms of the Sharks had a release from him the day before it was announced that he went to the Rangers. So I assume that's something that he wanted. He wanted to kind of have a little bit of a kind of a warning for Sharks fans, so it's not sudden. But the message, or sort of the press release, though, didn't really say much, though. Kind of cited family reasons. So anyway, gotta ask Dan, because Dan, you know.
I played with Clowe. I haven't talked to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
This is purely a guess, but I know his family. They live in Florida.
They didn't move out here or anything like that when he came.
No, and don't quote me on this because it's not. I heard he's probably going to do a lot of his job in New York from Florida.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Do I know this for a fact? No, this is somebody that I know that told me that, but I think that would make sense. I think obviously here he was needed a little bit more in person, and somebody with a kid coming, he's a wife and daughter. I'm sure that being home was a big part of it, but I don't have the inside scoop on this one, but it feels right. If he can stay in Florida, do his job, maybe fly in once a month or whatever to a team he knows, much closer.
Right, than San Jose.
Direct flight, New York to Fort Lauderdale or wherever. much easier to get around. So it was probably a personal move.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. We're gonna miss him.
Yeah, for sure. I liked the. We talked about it before on the podcast, but I like it's just a lot of ex-Sharks that have kind of joined the fold over the past couple of years, and him being one of them too. So it was an interesting story for a bit, and we didn't hear much from him. He didn't have many times where he was in the media spotlight, it felt like, but would have been interesting to see his insights going forward. But wish him all the best for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a good player too, man. He was one of those players, man.
One that you remember, right?
He could fight. He could score. He was a pretty all around, very, very good player for us.
Well, I can say that he definitely was standing up for his side too as a AGM too. He didn't like one of the questions that I asked, and he told me.
So, did he now?
Yes, he did.
Which did you ask him?
I didn't ask it of him. I asked Daniil. I guess I can say it because it doesn't matter so much anymore.
Yeah.
But I asked Daniil Gushin at the end of last year, just because Daniil had been very productive in the AHL, but he hadn't been getting called up. So I just asked Daniil, "Are you frustrated by this?" And after a Barracuda game, I think it was actually a game that Gushin scored a hat trick, or he won the game in overtime, and Chloe didn't like the question. We talked it through, and we were fine. And we talked about it, and then I think a week later I saw him, and it was all good. But I think that's him just kind of standing up, like, hey, why are you putting the heat on the guy? Or maybe it's putting the heat on my career. I don't know what the question does. I didn't ask something that like I don't think I shouldn't have, but also, hey, you know what? If he thought it was out of bounds, it's for him to step up and kind of, knock me in the face in his way. Now, he didn't actually knock me in the face, but
he's dropping the gloves. He throws them on the ground. He says, me and you, buddy.
Exactly, right? And hey, I didn't ask anything wrong, and I told him that too. But he's got to do his job, and so that's all good. So
I love it.
I do wonder though, the timing of this though. This has become speculative. And I know, Keegan, you said you're going to put in an application for this, but there's a spot open at Shark AGM, right? So
no. Yeah, I'm going to use the podcast as credentials. Well, look at this. We've been talking about Sharks hockey for thousands of hours. I got the resume right here, bud. No.
Well, Dan, may as well just ask you, like, whichever want to do some kind of management kind of thingy, or that's not you.
Anything that takes me away from my golf game twice a week, no. But if Ryane Clowe actually does work from Florida, or a GM job in New York, I'd be happy to look into working for the Sharks.
Yeah, like half of management work is on the golf course, isn't it? Making deals, like, hey, tell agent, hey, come meet me at Court of All. I'll get you in.
Absolutely. I do think, I don't know how much work goes into it, so I would want to do some research.
You'll do some work to do some, find out how much work you have to do.
Yeah, I need to find out how many hours a week it's going to be.
I think that already eliminates you as a candidate.
How's Mike Greer's golf game? Do you know?
Oh, that's
I can't even answer that. We've never played golf together.
Oh, really? Even back in 2000, when you guys were teammates?
No. And then I will say this, even though we live in this beautiful, amazing part of the world, during hockey season, you do get your days off, but you're so tired, sore. You don't play a ton of golf. At least not when I played. There's probably guys listening going, fuck, I'm playing fucking 30 rounds a year. What are you talking about? But it was
on so many good teams. You never.
It was probably 4 to 5 rounds a year, maybe. You know what I mean? Not counting like the breaks or anything like that. If you have a day off, usually, if you played a lot like I did or whatever, it was one of those rest days that you want to take care of the body. So, I don't know. Maybe the game's changed. Who knows? I don't know. But.
Makes sense. All right, on to the next point. Carey Price is a Shark.
Carey Price was in at the Shark Tank today.
That's pretty cool.
Well, yeah,
that's interesting. Yeah, I guess it has to be there, show up for physicals and all that kind of stuff.
I'm fairly certain that's what it is. I don't have a confirmation from his agent, but you can basically take that physical. You have to take a physical basically for them to rule him out from playing. So he was going to come no matter what. I thought that he was going to come like around when training camp opens next week, but I'm fairly certain that that's why he was here. just to get that physical out of the way early, just convenient for his schedule. He's got to go to, I don't know, he's got to go to Croatia next week or something like that. So anyway, he was around, but I don't think it means anything. But the trade, though, speaking of contracts, is anyway, the Sharks take on Carey Price's contract. Only, even though the AAV is 10.5 million, which hurts the Canadians, the Sharks are responsible for only 2 million of in terms of actual cash, and most of that is covered by insurance. And the Sharks sent over Gannon Larocque, who may never play again. Unfortunately, he's a kind of a star-crossed prospect there, has had a lot of injuries. And the Sharks got back a 5th-round pick in 2026 for taking on Price's contract. So that's all it really is, just a salary dump. Carey was here today. Actually, Simon Wong told a great story about that, about seeing Carey at the hotel yesterday, wherever they're staying. Assume it's either Santana Row or it's the one, anyway, probably Santana Row or the one downtown that they stay at. But he saw Carey Price yesterday and had to introduce himself. And after he shook Carey's hand, he said that he wasn't going to wash his hand that night. So I thought it was a really funny story from Wong, who is a very effervescent personality. If you guys have been following him since the Sharks drafted him in the 2nd round this past year. But anyway, so I think that's kind of all she wrote to it. That's a great sort of headline. Carey Price is in San Jose, but I don't know if it means anything. I do wonder if the Sharks will ask him, hey, will you do a little consulting? Will you help out? Watch some Askarov. We're still paying you, right? Watch some Askarov tape or watch some whatever, right? And help us out. But one funny thing about it, though, also is that today, Rookie Faceoff, right? All the kids were there, which means all the coaches were there. So there were a lot of wins walking around the Shark Tank today. Carey Price of getting the Bokhoff, the director of goaltending for the Sharks, and Ryan Miller, who is a goalie scout / development guy for the Sharks. So that's like 1,000+ wins right there.
Yeah, the All-Star lineup from the 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2010 or something like
2010s. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, interesting move. Like, it also, I think, opened up the Sharks to, if they wanted to move cap space, like if they wanted
the deadline, right? Yeah, they'll be over the floor. Yeah,
because they were worried, or not, theoretically they could go under if they didn't acquire that $10 million in space or whatever. So they just kind of created a buffer zone to then trade guys later on if they needed to, I think, at the deadline or whatever. Mario Ferraro's, if he gets traded, and when
stop trying to trade Mario.
I'm not. Every GM in the league has tried it. Yeah.
Is that on your application? Would trade Mario on your application? That's your mission. That's your cover statement.
Yeah.
Shall see.
But I did want to say too about the Price trade that it does show how cap space has been sort of devalued. 10.5 million AAV sounds like a lot. A few years ago, that would have got the Sharks a 1st-round pick or something, but not anymore. And part of it too, I wrote about this, but I think fans forget too that Montreal did not really have to make this deal. They wanted to make this deal, but they didn't have to because Carey is injured. So they could have just put him on LTIR, which is not preferable with, sort of how the cap works. You can't accrue cap space and all those kind of things, but they could have just done that. And also more teams have cap space too. So I wonder if other teams would have been willing to take on a Price too. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. I know that there's a lot of consternation in Sharks Nation that, oh my God, they just got a 5th-round pick. But I think it's not, I don't put that on my career. I think, again, it tells you that just cap space isn't what it was 10 years ago or 5 years ago.
Consternation in Sharks Nation is my band name, actually. That's amazing.
Are you guys listening? Bring hockey back.
That's amazing.
I've got no input on this at all. I think it's just like you said, it's a salary dump. It'd be great if he stuck around, but I can't see being,
Croatia is calling.
Yeah, I think he's he's got other things going on.
If not Croatia, this is calling. Yeah.
They're paying him one way or another. So
yeah. Carey, on your physical, your blood alcohol is a 0.2.
You can get paid to have drinks on the beach, or you can come into stick
Yeah.
locker rooms for 8 hours a day and grind.
Mm-hmm. Carey Price put in his time. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
All
well,
right.
I got actually, this is a little aside, Dan, but how good was Carey? Because you saw him at his peak.
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, Montreal, whenever players that go into Montreal, this is going to sound, actually, the more I think about it, it's going to sound like he's not as good as that's not how I want it to sound. He was a very, very good goalie, and playing in a market like Montreal is very tough, especially for a goalie. Jose Theodore before him was like a stud, but when things go wrong, they can shoo you out of that town.
Right.
But he stuck around for a while. Obviously, I didn't play with him, so I can't vouch for how he was on a nightly basis. But obviously, when we played Montreal, very solid goaltender, very good goaltender. But playing in a city like that for that long, you will be beloved eventually. The players that stick around on those teams for that long in those cities, they are held on a higher standard or a higher level than the rest of us, and he's going to go down as one of those goalies. Maybe not the highest. Patrick was going to be tough to beat. You got Ken Dryden back in the day.
Yeah, rest in peace.
You got some of those guys that I don't think are ever going to be surpassed, but he's going to be right a little bit below those guys as far as being recognized as one of the better Montreal goaltenders of all time.
That's awesome. So, speaking of Montreal, let's talk about Vlasic and some of his comments. I know we have some thoughts there.
Yeah, I did see that. You're gonna have. Yeah, why don't you guys tell?
Yeah, let me recap everybody who's not aware. So about 3 weeks ago, or maybe almost a month ago. Well, actually, going back further than that. So obviously, the Sharks bought out Marc-Edouard Vlasic, I think in late June. We asked Mike about it after it happened. Mike was like, "Oh yeah, Eddie handled it very classy, etc., etc." Okay, we thought that was the end of it. So it was not the end of it. So spoiler alert, it was not the end of it. About a month ago, Vlasic talked with French media, and he said that he thought that he was going to come back. He said that they told him at his exit interview that he was going to come back, or that he was under impression, at least. I should put it that way, that he thought that he was going to come back, and that he was blindsided kind of by what happened. He says that he wished that he knew beforehand because he has a house in San Jose and that sort of thing. So that was already pretty bad. And so Marc-Edouard added to that a couple of days ago in an interview with TVA Sports. And to quote, and just so you guys know, I checked with a couple of native French speakers just to make sure that these quotes he wasn't misquoted. And so among the things he said is that he hopes to hook on with the NHL team and put it through the Sharks' teeth. That's the most direct translation of it. Speaking to French speakers, it basically he's trying to say he wants to rub in the Sharks' face somehow.
I could double check. I could double check that.
Yes, you are a native French speaker, right? So
yeah, I could double check that for you.
But also, too, though, he also said, though, I'm not going to go into the details because it's not good for me or for them. It wasn't my decision. I've been lied to all year. Going somewhere else will do me good. And so anyway, just overall, I mentioned, we talked about this maybe a month ago when the first Vlasic quotes came out. And I thought, and no one has corrected me or whatever, maybe someone will with the Sharks or whatever, but from the mid-April, the end of the season, to the buyout, which was the end of June, I feel like the Sharks must have known at some point that this was a possibility. They may not have known in April, but within a month or so, they might have known, okay, you know what, this might happen. And I personally would prefer to have sort of idea that this could happen. I don't know. I don't know what you guys think, though. Like one pushback that I did get was that if you're in a job and you're about to get fired, that you don't want to know a month in advance that this is happening. So anyway, I mean, obviously we have Dan on here. So Dan, in a similar situation, would you like to know like a month or two that, hey, this could happen? They might buy you out, or they might.
During the season, you mean?
No, after the season ends, like
I would like to know. Once
okay.
not during the season.
Right, you're playing, right? Yeah.
You're playing, but after the season, I would like to know. So I think I understand both sides. I understand how he feels. My last year as a Shark was my concussion year. It wasn't a great year. I wanted to stick around. I kind of didn't know if I was going to be here or not, and I understand that feeling right after where you're like, fuck, I give my blood, sweat, and tears for this team. So it's still very fresh for him. After a couple of years will go by, I think it softens the blow that you realize it is a business. As you get older, they need to get younger. So for me, I think I could have stuck around, but you know what? I didn't have a good year. I had just a pretty bad concussion.
Right.
It was a business move, and I understood it years later, but maybe not so much in the moment. And then, that there's a saying, two things can be true. Well, there's also the possibility, this is no inside scoop here, that they may have told him, we want you here next year. And they probably maybe meant it. But then come May, June, or whenever, they start signing guys, and then they start realizing they've changed their mind. They don't want him there anymore. So that's the one I'm going to go with, where I don't want to think of Mike as a liar.
Yeah.
So I'm going to hope that he probably may have told him, we want you around next year. We like what you did with the young guys. Go get ready for next year. And then eventually it's a business. And then they probably changed their minds and said, hey, we've got some room to bring in some guys. They bring in Orlov, and they brought Letty.
Yeah, Klingberg too.
Klingberg, all of a sudden, age, unfortunately, as you get older, you get pushed towards the back of the line. Most of us, not every one of us, but so that's what I hope the true story is that they probably told him something like that, and then eventually they probably just changed their mind. That's what I'm going to go with.
Right. And you do allude to it too. And we talked about this earlier, that the Sharks don't have a lot of contract space too. And they wanted to fold in or introduce Sam Dickinson into the environment too. And so that might have been a factor too, that they added all these veteran defensemen and they want to get Dickinson in there too. So that could be a part of it. But I do wonder for yourself, Dan, just because you bring it up, when did the Sharks tell you that year that, hey, you're not?
That's a good question. I didn't know. I mean, I knew my contract was up. I knew a couple guys had re-signed. I was kind of the last one standing, and unfortunately, I had the concussion, which was ended up being again. It was one of the most proud years that I've had because I know what I went through to play. But statistically, and what I did on the ice was my least efficient year as a Shark. Unfortunately, we had the reverse sweep, which was a terrible way to end my career. But I wasn't at that time. I wasn't the player that I was the year before, and it was because of the concussion. And from their end, they're like, maybe it's the age, maybe it's a concussion. We don't want to take that chance. But no, it's tough. It's tough, especially when you're a player that wants to stick around. Sometimes maybe you don't like it somewhere, you want to go somewhere else, or you're looking for that new opportunity. And you're okay with it. But when you have a family and you're a little older and you feel good somewhere, it does hurt. It does sting when, a team doesn't necessarily want you back. And when I say want you back, they might just, that might not even be the right word. They have to go in a different direction. And like you said, I think GMs, the other thing that people don't know is they have boards in their offices, and there's 25, 26, but they also have 26, 27 up there. Like they're playing chess. They have to look 2 to 3 years in advance. And they have a game plan for not just this upcoming year, but the following year. And so there's a lot of moves there that are done, not just for this upcoming year, but sometimes it's for the next year. And maybe it's getting Dickinson a year early, so he's ready for the following year. I don't know. I'm just speculating here, but there's got to be a rhyme or reason, and it's unfortunate he feels that way. I think over time he'll feel a little bit better, but right now it stings for sure. When you've been there for 18, 19 years, it's a tough one to swallow for now. And I hope, I hope he does well. I hope he gets another opportunity somewhere, and there's nothing. Well, there are a lot of things better, but it's nice to have a nice revenge game. I had a few myself, so they're really nice. I remember my first one when I got traded from Florida to Tampa. I was with Florida for 4 years. Never really got a great look. Talk about opportunity. I mean, with the exception of my last, year for like 20 games or so, it was just like in and out of the lineup. I played. This is a pretty good story, but I played fourth line wing.
I think I heard
4 or 5 minutes a night, and I played. I want to say 5 to 6 games in a row, just power play. So talk about no penalties in the first period and a penalty late in the second. And I got to go quarterback a power play. Like, what the fuck?
There's no trust there.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
And I totally lost my train of thought. What was I talking about? Sorry.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Revenge games. Revenge.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck the Panthers.
My first game against Florida with Tampa, I think I had a goal. I was first star. I was like, fuck these fucking guys, fuck them. So if he does get to play somewhere, he'll probably get that feeling.
Okay.
And that was the other thing, is that they could have also like waived him and sent him to the AHL, but Vlasic's been in the NHL for 20 years, right? Like since he was 19.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is that? I mean, I obviously I don't think this happened in your career. I have to go look at your page. No. But like, what does that do for a player to be like, well, we're either going to buy you out or send you to the minors?
Let me jump in there, Keegan, though, that if you waive him, though, his contract still counts.
Yeah.
So I think that is underrated part of it, that they wanted to get that contract.
They needed
off their
one
50.
less.
They needed to, because obviously I explained their contract situation. So
let me pivot if you guys are interested in hearing about it, and we'll see if the fans like it. They can respond to this or not. But so the way I came to the Sharks, I was with Tampa. We had won a cup. I had signed this new deal, 6-year deal, great deal. I had signed it. I took what I considered at the time was a home, a discount to stay with the team and do well. And then these new owners had come in, and not so much like what Pickle or Vlasic went through, but they told me when it got to that point, they said, we're going to trade you. And I said, no. I had a no trade, which was different than a no move, which is a whole other freaking thing, where no trade means they can't trade you. No move means they can't move you. No move is the
can't
one.
send you the AHL or anything.
Nothing.
Like that.
So they said to me, it was kind of like a game of chicken. If you don't waive your no trade, we are going to put you in the minors. We are going to waive you. And at the time, for all those Thrashers fans out there, sorry, didn't want to go to the Atlanta.
You're the reason why that team is in fucking Winnipeg, Dan.
So they were like 29th or whatever. So, would they have picked me up? I can't say for sure, but I'd like to think they probably would have. I had
you and Kovalchuk would have made some sweet magic there.
I had to make the decision of, am I going to play this game of chicken with these owners that don't really want me here, or take my chance and maybe get picked up with Atlanta? And that's when I decided to say, okay, fuck you guys. I'm going to take, this into my own hands. I had a no trade. So I literally had a checklist. I wrote every team down. I eliminated probably 70% right off the bat, narrowed it down to like 10, down to 5, 3, and then obviously came to the Sharks for what was a great 6 years here. So I picked the right team, and it was a decision I made at the time. But there's some stuff that goes on behind the scenes that we're not going to be privy to, and we don't know. But there's some stuff that goes on that happens in those offices.
For sure.
That's it. That's the end of my story.
What was some of your criteria?
What
was some of your criteria?
Yeah. It was. So winning was the first one. Winning team.
Yeah.
Like teammates, like who I knew, and like was maybe second. Winning, who I knew there. 3 was like the experience of playing for that team. So I remember talking to a few players that had been there and said great things. I knew Jumbo, I knew Patty, I knew Scott Hannon, I knew Nabby, Mark Smith, and then I think maybe somewhere down the line, 3rd, 4th, or 5th was my ex-wife was pregnant at the time, and you do have to start thinking about where do I want to be? Where do I want to raise my child? Where do I want to live?
Yeah.
And some teams had a couple of those. San Jose had all of them. I think area, place to live, guys I knew, winning team. It was kind of, I had this checklist, and I just kind of went down, and it came down to basically Montreal because I'm from Ottawa. I didn't want to play for Ottawa, but being a couple hours away with my family, It was a family decision kind of a thing, being close. And obviously being a Montreal Canadian is, as a Canadian boy,
it's played with Carey Price.
It's kind of a big deal. Yeah. Right. And then the other team I was a Philadelphia Flyers fan growing up. So that I didn't love so much. The team wasn't as good. Yeah. And I don't know that I want to be in Philly come December, January, and February. Sorry, Philly fans, but I like me some warm weather.
You hear that, Connor? San Jose is the place to play.
That's right.
And that's Bedard or McDavid. So.
Or
any Connor out there with any modicum of hockey skills, come to San Jose.
Listen, I was in Tampa, and we're totally deviating. Sheng's like, God, I want to talk about something else. But I started with the Florida Panthers. You couldn't get anyone to go there. You could not get anyone to go there because it was a losing team. It was a losing organization. But I remember saying, if they can get their shit together, if they can get like a coach, if they can get some stability, this is going to be a destination place. Tampa beat them to it. Tampa became the destination place out there. Florida is now one of those places. Yeah, there is no reason, no doubt in my mind, with the exception of property or taxes, which if somebody's money, if it's a money hungry player, then the California tax is going to be deterrent from getting guys here. But
maybe you don't want that guy here either, though.
But there's no reason why this shouldn't be a destination place because you have what those East Coast teams have, which is you have the weather, you have the water. You just have to have a competitive team. Quality of life is freaking incredible. I mean, being in the sun every day, there is a difference. I grew up East Coast, waking up winter, it's miserable. Like it's miserable. And so there's no reason why the Sharks can't be one of those destination teams. And hopefully these guys are building the team to get guys to want to come here. That's what we had back when I came here. Guys started to want to come here. Unfortunately, we've lost it the last 6-7 years, but there's no reason in my mind, or no doubt in my mind, this team should be one of the top 6 to 7 places that guys would want to go, should want to go.
And it used to be, right? Back in your day, right?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, you got Rob Blake that signed my year and myself, and you got, again, the good team probably for me was the number one thing. You can have nice weather, but if you're going to be losing 60 games a year, that's not going to be very fun. So winning team, great place to play. Best arena I've ever played in as far as energy level. I think this needs to be a destination city for guys that want to come here in probably 5 years or so.
Oh yeah, we're all excited for that moment. It's coming back. We could feel it. It's being built from the ground up, and I think you just landed your job as head of player recruitment for. Said you were looking for a job. There it is.
And they're putting in $300 million in the rink now, so the rink will be, but. Yeah, I would have and players that want to come here, feel free to give me a call. I'm not a liar, so I'll tell you the pros and the cons. And you have to deal with Sheng Peng, which isn't fucking great. That's not great.
They're gonna ask
and at the end of all of this too, you can be on the Sounds Like Hockey Now podcast. You can be a co-host. That's the end of all this stuff.
Yeah, this is great, guys.
So there's some cons.
It's a guaranteed job, all right?
Definite pro there for sure. I grew up in Florida as a kid, and you're right. Like as a kid, as a hockey fan, it was like Tampa is the team that's winning. Tampa's the team that's like got their shit together. Yeah. I was a Tampa fan as a kid, as well as a Sharks fan, obviously. But like Florida was like you go there if you need to dump a contract or you need to it didn't feel like the class of the state of Florida for like 20 years. And then all of a sudden, everybody wants to be the Florida Panthers. Every single team is like, how do we become the Florida Panthers?
Yeah.
And it's very funny.
It's the same arena I was in. It hasn't moved.
Yeah.
I think their practice facility is better now.
It's outside the mall,
Oh yeah,
right?
it's actually very nice. Yeah, they just,
so I haven't seen that,
yeah.
but yeah, you couldn't get a player to go there, but because the team wasn't very good. So you build a winning team. What's the reference to the build it and they will come?
If you build it, they will come.
Yeah. The baseball movie.
Kevin Costner.
I also
Zubair,
have full references too. Just so you guys
I got you. Field the dreams.
Field the dreams. There we go.
Basically, the Panthers, though, from their finals appearance in 1996 when they first joined the league to sending Gerard Gallant in a taxi after he got fired to the airport were not a place to be at. And then after that, they figured it out. So there's hope for any franchise.
Yeah.
And Sharks have, they've built up this core past couple of years that looks really, really promising. It's just, this is kind of the thesis of this podcast, right? It's like, how do we not become the rebuilding forever team? And hopeful that there's many players to come that will.
You can say the team, Keegan. It's the Buffalo Sabres.
How
do we not become the Buffalo Sabres?
You know what's
That's
funny?
the only goal.
I'm listening to a lot of Locked On Sabres podcasts recently, which is weird because I do not live close to Buffalo. I've been to Buffalo once my entire life, but he's like, he does a really good job. It's just him alone, but it's so sad. And it reminds me of Alberts. And I'm like, just very happy that we have a better team to look forward to.
The Buffalo Sabres are the NHL version of My Chemical Romance.
They really are. They are the Black Parade.
We can assume that the Sabres might have been in Dan's 70% cutoff and when he got traded. So.
I don't know. They were good then. They were really good
though. That's true. That's fair.
Again, remember 2 or 3 down the line, place to. I'm Buffalo fans, the ones that are listening.
Yeah.
I don't want to be in. I didn't want to be in that weather. I grew up.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be in that weather. So that was 100%. A no for me.
Yeah, that's a quote
fair.
from their GM recently, right? We don't have. What did he say? We don't have
palm trees.
Or something like that. And
who was an ex teammate of mine at Kevin Adams.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yeah.
I like that phrase though. Giving up. We don't have palm trees. Fuck it.
But you look at their football team.
That's what he said.
Did he make reference to the Bills? Yeah.
He did. He said basically like, the Bills were the same way for many, many years. Like it takes winning. And that's what it's going to take is winning for Buffalo.
Winning. There's little things too. Like golf. I did a golf tournament on Monday and Jonathan Becker, are you listening? He's the president non-hockey ops. We talk about doing little things, and actually golfed with Coach, by the way, who's got a great. I'm gonna have to. How do you pronounce his last name?
Warsofsky.
I'm gonna butcher it.
I'm good for something here, Dan.
We played in a scramble, and we used his drive. He was hitting the driver like bomb. So hats off to the driver. The rest of the game, not so much. But, no, we talked a little bit. Obviously, where he was in my cart. We discussed the little things, trying to do little things to get guys to want to come here. Obviously, you got to build a winning team, but there are little things you can do. And I don't want to talk too long about that because there's too many, but those things add up to where guys are going to want to go there. The New York Rangers, for example, are one of those teams where I went there because I heard they just do a little bit of little extra things that are small and minimal, but getting picked up at the airport in a limo versus showing up somewhere where you have the address and you've got to get your own Uber. And I know that sounds like, big problems, but those are little things where if they send car service for you, or I remember when I got to New York, when we fly into Canada, all the players have to, for customs, you have to fill in a form. I am not bringing in blah, 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 blah. And I remember my first flight into Canada with the Rangers, I was like, we landed. I'm like, where are those forms? Are like, no, somebody signs those for you. I was like, that's fucking badass, dude. It was such a small detail, but I was like, that's pretty fucking cool. They signed the custom forms for us, and we don't have to do it. And it was just a stupid little thing. But so the coach and I talked about like, there's a lot of little things you can do to build your program, build your team to where guys are like, fuck, the Sharks take care of their guys.
Yeah.
Oh, speaking of that, I did hear today that the Sharks are getting Wi-Fi back on a plane, which You'll laugh, but this is a very important thing, especially when you have kids like Macklin and Wall around. You gotta have fucking Wi-Fi.
What's your source on that? Where did you?
They're getting Wi-Fi back on the plane. I have.
You have an inside scoop.
They did not have it last year, but they will have it. And again, I think they know. Like they're improving the facility too, the room and all that stuff, right? Like. I think they know that the last couple of years they can take a little break from improving the facility and whatever, because who are you going to attract to come here? No one was coming here with a shitty ass team, to be honest.
As the team
but now, like you cannot have Macklin leaving for Vancouver because one of the reasons being that you don't have Wi-Fi on the fucking plane for a 19-year-old.
God, I didn't know
so they are getting that back, and I think they know. And speaking of Becker, this is something that you can handle, Jonathan, like for sure. Like you got to have Wi-Fi on a plane for a 19-year-old. So don't let that be the reason why Macklin goes to the Canucks 7 years from now.
Yeah, there was that reminds me of a great Freakonomics episode where they like did a bunch of, they talked about a NFLPA workplace survey where they referenced like all the players in the NFL, let's rank everything. And they gave this great form and what's the best place to play. Sure. It's a great episode. And
that's actually really important.
And Dan, you kind of talked about this last week, and it was like family facilities, like family support was like one of the top ranked things. Like when family comes to watch a game, where are they sitting? You know,
there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of things that, like, for example, there's at Tortorella, for example, who Hasso owns the Sharks, owns Tortorella. We did a little bit of a partnership. Joe Thorne's there. Stefan Setaguchi there. Logan just joined, although he's still a little banged up. But that's a big, for retired. If you want to keep your alumni, like things like that are huge. Like that was Tortorella is a huge part of my life. If I didn't have that opportunity, would I stick?
You'd be writing at San Jose Hockey now.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
But like taking care of families, man, that's huge.
Yeah.
You want your players to, when they're focused on their game and all they need to do is that, not focused on where the wives are sitting, where the kids are. Like when you take care of all the extra shit, I think that goes a long way into guys wanting to go somewhere.
That makes complete sense. And you know, speaking about future Sharks players, this is a good transition to the main topic of today.
Oh, I did want to actually jump in with one last thing before we get to the main topic. I know we've been kind of going a lot of sides for over an hour here, actually. But Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith, they're moving back with Joe Thornton and Patrick Marleau. That's a nice little benefit. Michael Misa says that he's likely to live with Tyler Toffoli. So, Dan, put you on the spot. Are you boarding Sam Dickinson?
I am not. I mean, God bless Patty and Joe. I just, I love my space, and it takes a pretty special person and human. And Joe and Patty, hats off for doing that, and their wives, obviously, and their kids. Sadly, I do not have that. I do not have that in me. I like my alone time.
All right, Sam.
I have a big house, and even sometimes it's like I just need more space.
Yeah. Sam's first day. We're watching Human Centipede 3.
Yeah.
We're watching the marathon.
They made a 3?
There's 3.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh dear Lord.
Yes, sir.
Sam, you can live in my little ADU here. You gotta listen to this from Chicago, though. All right. So
I think this is his way. He really wants Sam on this podcast, is what it sounds like. That's it.
Well, all right. Well, let's get into the big topic that we want to speak with Dan today about. And obviously we now know you're not gonna, be his billet family.
No, probably not.
But a lot of people talk about this player and they bring you up when they talk about him, Luca Cagnoni.
Yeah.
5'9".
Cagnoni. I was taught how to say it last week. Cagnoni, yeah.
Cagnoni, thank you.
It's like cannoli, yeah. Cagnoni.
Yeah. Okay. All right. 5'9", small, undersized offensive defenseman. I know Boilers, you were watching some clips of him. We were kind of reviewing some of that.
Yeah.
Obviously really difficult to make it and crack in the NHL, being undersized. What does he have to do, and what do you see in those clips?
Oh, can I interrupt here, though? Because I wanted to introduce this a little bit, though, and give props to our guys. So here's one way to look at the challenge that is in front of the 5'9", and this matters, 5'9" Luca Cagnoni. So I don't know if you noticed, Dan, just 48 defensemen in NHL history have scored over 600 points. Of those 48, just 7 have been listed at 5'11" and under. And 3 of those 7,
48?
Yeah, 48, and just 7 of those 48 have been listed 5'11" and under. So 3 of those guys are Hall of Famers: Phil Housley, Red Kelly, who played a lot of forward too, which skews the stats, and Mark Howell. And 3 defensemen in here, they benefited from a more offensive era in the 80s and early 90s. Steve Duchesne, Matthew Schneider, and Randy Carlisle. And the 7th guy is our boy, Dan Boyle, 605 points.
Wow.
Also, the only defenseman in this bunch to debut in the dead puck era. So anyway, I wanted to throw the intro out there. So
thank you.
Anyway, so what did you see from Luca then?
Well, I watched him carefully when he played. Any undersized defenseman, I will watch a little extra closely. Skating has to be better. Skating has to be better than anyone else because you don't necessarily have to be the fastest, but you have to be. Use a big word here. Is it elusive? Is that the word?
Yeah.
You got to be elusive because if you're getting hit every night, 80 nights, 82, 84 games a year, the being a little smaller will take its toll. So I was much smaller than everyone else, but I didn't get hit very much. I escaped a lot of my checks, whether I was rolling off of it. That's something he's going to learn, how to absorb, when to roll off, when to make a hit, when to not. I remember my first year, I think it was recorded on my first NHL moment. I tried to hit Sandy McCarthy, and I went down.
That's unfortunate.
And there are some times I'm just using guys like if Eric Lindros is in the corner, I'm not going to go try to hit him. There's no point, right? So he's going to learn when to use his body, when to not use it, how to use it. That's something he just needs time and experience. And, obviously in the short time that I've seen him play, obviously I saw a little bit of that. I think his skating's really good. His vision was really good. So Lane Hudson is probably the guy he wants to look at a little bit more now. It's one of those guys that, listen, what did he win the best rookie? What do you call that?
Yeah, Calder Trophy.
Calder Trophy. Sorry about that. So that's probably the guy he can look at right there. That's right beside him, right in front of him. Keep following his footsteps. There is room for the smaller player in today's game, but I just think the skating has to be really good and learn. He's going to learn on the fly. Like I said, in front of the net, these old coaches are going to show you how to box out. You're going to have to find your own way, your own particular way. I know when I played, when the puck was dumped in my corner or our corner, we were told all defensemen turn back, get back there as quick as possible. And I remember telling coaches when I got to Tampa, if I create a gap, I'm going to get a little technical here, but if I create a 2 or 3 foot gap with a player, he's going to be able to, if I go left or right, he's going to have an extra half a second to read and then go that way. I always would rather have a guy right behind me. And then if I give him a juke, he can't, he's too close. He can't go. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
If he's got 3 feet and I go left, right, he doesn't bite on the left. He goes right to right. But if he's right behind me. So I remember talking to the coaches and being like, I don't need to go first, or I don't need to go right away. I just need to do it my own way. And then shout out to Cranky. When I got to San Jose, Cranky's job was to get the puck in most of either corner.
Douglas Murray.
Douglas Murray. Yeah. And that's not something you necessarily want as a coach. You don't want to be but we eventually we were very good together. And I don't want to say he did it every time, but if it was a 50-50 or a 60-40, he would go get it. And I took care of the rest of the ice. He took care of that. But those are things you learn as you go. How do I want to go back in the corner, grab the puck? How do I want to defend in front of the net? If there's a guy you can't box out, don't try to. Just positioning, grab a stick somewhere, and conserve your energy. There are ways to do that with being effectively. God, I'm saying too much, guys. I apologize.
No, this is not too much.
I'm saying way too much.
No. You're
I'm getting a little fired up. I want to
because I think fans see like Luca Cagnoni's put up a ton of points in the AHL, put up a ton of points in WHL, but they don't realize that like it's not just what Luca Cagnoni does; it's the people around him, right? It's his partner, like you're saying. Does he have a Douglas Murray? It's his coach.
It's not. Yeah, absolutely. Coach is going to be important. I remember, and here I'm going to bring Torts back. I'm going to talk about Torts every week, but Torts and I. He didn't know who the hell I was, and I got traded there. He had no fucking clue who I was. When I got to Tampa, I was like, fuck it. I'm going to play my game, and I was a little bit of a wild horse, if you will. I was forechecking at times. I was setting up behind the offensive net. And Torch was like, what the fuck is this guy? What is he doing? So eventually, my first full year there, I remember having a meeting with him, and he had gotten to see how I was playing, which was completely different than most players. And he just said, do me a favor, take care of your own end, and I'll let you do whatever the fuck you want on the other end. Because I remember playing with Brad Lukowich. I'm a right-handed D. Well, where's the right-handed D? He's going to be on the blue line on his side. But I remember being one of the only, or not first, I don't want to give myself full credit, but I'm like, if you're a winger and you know where your defenseman's going to be, you're going to go to your spot. It's going to be right there. But what if the defenseman you're supposed to watch goes to the other side, and then what if he goes behind the net? What the fuck do I do then? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to create chaos. And I remember Brad Lukowich and I, we were really good at it. I would go to the left side, he'd come to the right, and then we'd go back. When nothing was happening, we would just fuck around with guys. And then I'd dart down, guys would look at the other guy, like, you got him, I got him. And then, but the important thing was, with Torts, I was always the first guy back. Was I 9 times out of 10, I was the first guy back. There would be the odd occasion where I'd get caught, but you live with that. And I think for him, his defensive game is going to be something that he needs to work on. Offensively, he's very talented, very smart. That's going to come naturally. Defensively, if you can earn your coach's trust, more ice time, more opportunity, more confidence. Then next thing you know, I was killing penalties when I got to San Jose, I was killing penalties. I was on the ice when their goalie was out. I was playing a big defensive role. And then speaking of Marc-Edouard Vlasic, him and I were like a shutdown pair, if you will, one of my last 2 years here. So game has evolved, but I think for him, I really want him to work on his D game, earn your coach's confidence, and then hopefully your coach gives you a little bit of a longer leash offensively, because as an offensive defenseman, it's one of those risky positions where if you don't put the points up as an offensive defenseman, you're going to be looked at as you're not playing well. I remember having 4, 5, 6 games in a row without a point, and Sheng Peng comes in and says, "You're playing
why is it always me?
You're not playing very well. What's going on?" I'm like, Sheng, I'm playing fucking great. I'm playing great, but I just haven't had a point.
Why am I the avatar of all the media that you hate? All right, I'm not Larry Brooks.
I had a game in Detroit. I had a goal and 3 assists. I was +4, first star. I was fucking horse shit. I was so bad, but I had 4 points. And the next game, I had 3 points. And Dan Boyle's playing well, all the articles. And I'm like, I'm playing like shit. But as an offensive defenseman, you have to put up points, because if you don't, what are you going to look at if you're looking at, Makar after 10 games and he's got 2 points? If you look at a statistic line and Cale Makar has 2 points, are you going to say he's playing well? No. You're going to say he's playing very poorly, even though he might be playing great. So that's the other thing he's going to have to learn, is that, and I think, points are going to be part of it, but just believe and trust in yourself, because the people that don't know and don't see you are going to expect an offensive defenseman to put up some numbers, and it doesn't always happen.
Well, Dan motherfucking Boyle, if Makar had 2 points in 10 games, I would actually watch the tape, and I'd be like, well, actually, he's playing quite well, and I would point that out. So anyway, I did want to ask you, though, that I've spoken with a few AHL scouts about that comparison actually with you, because it is the obvious comparison for Luca Cagnoni with you and the Sharks and smaller defensemen. They thought that you had a bit more of that. Speaking of his skating, which with Cagnoni, His edge work is excellent. His sort of his straight ahead speed is excellent. But the scouts I spoke with, they thought that you had a little bit more of that kind of that first step quickness to beat the forecheck and kill plays, which you mentioned that, you weren't touched a lot kind of when you're in your prime. And so is that something that maybe that you saw, like a little subtlety that, and granted, Luca is just 20, 21, but is that a little subtlety that he can work on?
Yeah, I didn't see enough film and I didn't see enough games. Obviously I want to see more. But I spoke about it briefly. It's conserving your energy. There are ways to skate. The effortless skaters, you got your Nathan McKinnons that are, you know what I mean? But there's also a way of skating. I mean, I was playing 30 minutes a night. You have to skate efficiently. And your first 2 steps are more of your power. They're more fatiguing. But there was a way of skating that I would do, like the way that guys would cross over. I would kind of do this like push off, which I'm sure if we measured it, you would say that my energy level was way higher than guys doing. Like, so those are little things he's going to learn as he plays more. Being a smaller player, avoid the hits. All of a sudden, late in the second, third period, when other guys, bigger guys, are getting a little more tired, those younger guys that are full, a little less load to carry around, get with the energy, you get to do your thing sometimes late in the game when those other guys get a little tired.
And I spoke with Luca today at kind of that he's on the Rookie Faceoff roster and he's headed off to the Rookie Faceoff in Irvine. And he said that one thing that he's trying to do this summer is he's trying to be, the word he used was pesky. Pesky, defending the front of the net in the corner. He was referring to kind of stick detail and just being nastier in front of the net in the corners, handing out some cross checks from time to time. And so anyway, is that something that you had to learn over the years to be a little, peskier?
Absolutely. I think if other teams look at the lineup and they see him as an easy way to the net, an easy time in front of the net, guys are going to take their liberties. I wasn't very big, but early on I did fight. I fought in the minors. He may have to do it. I fought in the NHL early on, not so much towards the end because I didn't need to anymore. But yeah, some cross checks, some slashes. You're going to take a few penalties, but you do not want to be easy to play against just because you're small. You probably want to have that reputation. Let me change gears, but I remember do they still do the awards with players that they ask the play, like polls?
They do every year. Yeah.
So 1 year it was like toughest defenseman to play against, and you used to get your Chris Prongers and but I was like really high in voting one of those years, and it wasn't because I was a huge person. It was more like they were kind of like what I was talking about. It was like the quotes were like, I never knew where he was. I knew I was going to have to chase him around all night. He's a little fucking sneaky dirty in the corners. It was like little things like that where, sure, I'm not going to be a guy that's going to crush you all night, but you're going to have to chase me around. And you are going to get an elbow or a stick at some point somewhere. And it's not going to be an easy night for you just because I'm, 5'10", 190 pounds. So that's probably the last piece of advice I would have for him is don't be easy to play against just because you're small.
Is that something that you were able to learn, add to your game, or is that something you always had in you, that sort of that rattiness?
I only know this because I looked at my junior stats a few months ago with my cousin, or like a month ago, and I had like 140 PIMs or something. So I think I had it. I always had that like feistiness to me for as long as I remember. So if it's not in him, I would recommend that he find that.
Okay.
That would be. I mean, again, I don't know the kid very well. I need to see more. Layton Hudson. Yeah. I don't watch every one of his games. Is he like that? He may not need to be.
Yeah.
But just be hard to play against, whether that's physical or knowing guys are gonna have to chase you around all night. Both are equally tiring.
Ryane Warsofsky mentioned last year too that he wanted Luca to work on his stick detail, and that's sort of the angles, the leverage as a smaller guy. And so in that little bit of that you watched Luca's game, I don't know if that's something that you watched. One NHL scout did tell me, I think this is promising for Luca, is he described Luca Cagnoni's stick as a dirty stick, that he's really willing to kind of engage in that kind of way. But what did you see when you're just watching the stick, which is so important for him?
It's funny you mentioned that. So who sent me the clips? Because one of them was a guy getting walked, just got roasted, and somebody else scored like geeky or something. Was that Luca getting beat? Or was it
might
just
have been
just a random clip?
Dan, right?
I think it was. Yeah, I think he got walked on the defensive clip.
Yeah,
okay, so you were showing me the good and the bad.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, I think having a good stick is not just for a small guy. It's very important. It's baiting guys. You put your stick somewhere knowing that in about a fraction of a second, you're just taking away this pass right here. You never want to be predictable with your stick, but I will. Let's talk about this in a few months after I watch him play a little bit.
Okay.
But, yeah, I think having a really good stick, not just for a small guy, will make a huge difference in efficiency. And as a small guy, you don't want to be playing the offensive zone.
Right.
You don't want to be playing the D zone all night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let's go have some fun in the offensive zone, and let's go do that.
And I guess the last one for me, at least, is overall, and you alluded to a lot of it, but what were the things that separated you, that you didn't just survive in the NHL? Like I said in the introduction, that you scored over 600 points. Not a lot of defensemen do that, and not a lot of under 5'11" defensemen do that. So why were you able to flourish in the league?
I can go a bunch of different ways. Yeah. Confidence. I always had confidence in myself. I wasn't cocky, but I believed in myself. You have to get an opportunity. So that's coaching staff. That's a GM bringing you in. Teammates. It's a team sport. So I think I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the partners I had, the teams that I've been on. But a combination of those three things. And I mean, you got to have skill. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, you got to have skill, and confidence is so huge too, man. Confidence. Like, I wasn't confident in Florida because I didn't have the opportunity. I didn't have the backing. It was a little bit of a combination of everything I just spoke about. I was the same player when I got traded from Florida to Tampa, and I go from barely being on the last place team in the league to leading the NHL in ice time. I didn't change anything. Like, it's not like I was a new person. I just had backing. I had confidence, probably maybe some better players around me. And I remember having this like meeting with myself when I got traded to Tampa. And I was like, if I'm going to go out, I'm going to go out my fucking way. And I'm going to play my game within the team chemistry. You don't want to be on your own page necessarily where you're like pissing everybody off, but you got to play your game within the team game. And I would say that's probably I guess one more piece of advice is, you are here for a reason. You obviously want to fit into your team. And that's one of those things that is hard sometimes, is you don't want to piss anyone off. You don't want to go on your own program and upset the coaches and your teammates, but you have to, you're here for a reason, and if he played a certain way in EO or whatever, like, there's a reason he's here. So continue to do that, but he just may need to figure out how it works at the NHL level.
Do you, and we talked about this last week too, like there's just not a lot of undersized defensemen coming into the NHL from a drafted perspective. Yeah. Do you think that there's, I mean, obviously there's some sort of size bias with NHL GMs, but do you think there's a fundamental like difficulty at being 5'9" or 10 that makes it just less likely that you can actually do the job in the NHL? Or do you think it's more of just that doesn't get the right opportunities kind of thing for players?
I think there are disadvantages, of course. I think in front of the net battles, there's going to be disadvantage. But, I was surprised. I mean, you told me last week that no defenseman under 5'11" was drafted. There was one, I think you said, right?
Yeah, one guy was 5'11" and 3/4, basically.
So that was very that was very surprising to me. And I know certain GMs just like their big guys, right? But no, there's room. I mean, again, going back to Late Hudson, there's room for the smaller defensemen. But GMs, the safer bet is for them to have a bigger guy because that's just the attitude and the way it's been for years.
Yeah, and it's just you look at guys like Lane Hudson, even Cale Makar is not very big either. And like you said, the ability to confuse defenses and move down behind you were ahead of your time is what I guess.
For me, like Brian Leetch was my guy growing up. So I saw him do it. So I can't say I was the first.
Yeah.
But I don't know too many defensemen that in the offensive zone would, go behind the net. But I've seen the game evolve. And again, I'm not saying it was me, but the game has evolved where defensemen are switching with forwards. You've seen, even when I was towards the end of my career, it was starting to happen where coaches were encouraging. They all had names for it, the wheel, or it was called this or that. Defensemen were starting to go low and forwards high, and they're switching from one side to another. But in 2001 or 2, like there's no fucking way that coaches would recommend that. But it's a way of confusing the opposition because it becomes, if you play a predictable game, it becomes easy. It becomes an easy game for the other team to prepare for, to expose, take advantage of. And that's why playoffs, for me, there's a big where you have a game plan game 1, and by game 3 it's out the window because teams, there are matchups there.
Yeah, and that's actually the thing that people point to online is like, Vegas's defense is all 6'3", 6'4" guys. I think Florida has some smaller-ish guys on defense, but like clearly, how do you make an NHL team without these guys when the best teams in the NHL have all massive humans on the back end? So
if you can get a guy that's 6'5", skates like the wind, is smart, has a huge slap shot, and you got a guy that's 5'9" that can do the same, you're taking the guy that's 6'5". There's no, you know what I mean? You just got to weigh, like, I just don't think if there's 6 spots on an NHL team, I think 4 of those spots are going to your more taller, bigger defenseman, and I would probably keep, no more than 2 undersized defensemen. Otherwise, you're getting into that position where you're getting a little bit too small, and it is still a big man's game, even though there is room for the smaller player. It's still, when teams have success with bigger bodies, teams copy that. They want to get bigger and stronger.
That's why I love this podcast. We go from human centipede to like some hardcore talk and like actual analysis. It's excellent.
Cheers to Zubair and Jean. So.
Yeah. I'm out of a drink, and I think it's bad luck to cheers without a drink in it. So.
Well,
cheers.
Yeah.
Water. So.
So Dan, I had a question. So, with Sheng's report with the scouts talking about Luca in terms of his first step and first 2 steps and how that probably relates to killing plays and being the first, to lose pucks, 50-50 battles.
Yeah.
How much of that is trainable, and how much of that is like that bite, like that work, like that dog in you, that's just like, I'm going,
Yeah. I don't know what the breakdown percentage is.
Yeah.
But I was a dog in there. Like I didn't care who I was going in the corner with. I wanted that fucking puck. And I think that's a big part of it. You can get technical a little bit, but I think learning on the job was huge for me. Understanding when I was playing my first 10 games in Florida and understanding, okay, that doesn't work. Even though the coaches are telling me do that, this is the way, Robert Sveila's doing it. This is the way Brett Hedican's doing it. Do that. That didn't work for me. And I just said, it becomes, for sure, the bite, the dog, like that's huge, man. That's being the hunger for wanting that puck, the hunger for, that's something you can't teach. You have that or you don't. But I think learning on the job, what works for him is not necessarily something that's going to work for, let me attempt this name, Mokhmadullin.
Mokhmadullin. That's pretty good, actually.
That's pretty good.
Mokhmadullin.
So for Mokhmadullin, may not work for Luca. So hopefully a good coach would recognize that and not. And I remember telling coach the other day, during the golf thing, you can't coach. It was just, we talked a little bit. I said, for me, a good coach coaches a team. You have your team ideas, but you're coaching individuals. If you coach every player the same way, I think that's horseshit coaching. I think you're coaching individuals. Smith may want to get hugged. Macklin may want to get kicked. I don't know them enough, but
yeah,
cannot coach each player the same way. They are 22 different human beings that come from different walks of life that are wired differently. You've got to learn who your players are and what gets them going, and hopefully the coaches will, coach him the way that he needs to be coached and improve.
Dan, did you have a good coach that did that well and coached individually to the player?
Craig Ramsay was my biggest influence as a coach. He was the D coach, and I don't care. I'm going to throw Torts under the bus here, but it's okay. makes for a good story. But
yeah,
last week I talked about Andrechuk closing the door and saying "fuck him," right?
Yeah.
Well, there were two things that I remember in particular in Tampa. One game, nothing was really going on. I wasn't really playing well. And Rammer comes down and he says, Boiler, I think it's about time for a fucking spin-o-rama backhand sauce. He was encouraging me to do a spin-o-rama backhand sauce through the ice. And I fucking did it. It was like weight lifted off my shoulders. It was just one little thing he said. And it was probably more of a psychological, he unshackled me just with saying that one thing.
That's amazing.
And then the other one, which is my favorite story, Torts comes down. Oh, what the fuck, whatever. Fuck you doing? Fuck.
That's a good Torts impression.
Right?
Excellent.
Spot on.
And then Rammer, who's kind of right behind the D, and Torts leaves, and he goes, Boiler, you know what he just said? Do the opposite. Unbelievable, because I was for those 5 seconds I was like fuck, I was kind of still feeling like shit, and then he came and said, you know what he just said? Do the opposite. And I was like, oof. So those are little things that a coach can do that was not anything that I learned. It was just a way of Rammer knew I would respond well to that type of coaching versus that. I don't want to be yelled at. I yell at myself as enough as it is.
Yeah.
He just knew how to coach me. So, that was a pretty cool story. So I would say Craig Ramsay to this day was probably the biggest influence on my game at the NHL level. Not to take away from Torts and Todd and some of the great coaches I had, but those little things were huge for me, where he knew I needed to be in a certain headspace to find my game.
Finally, about Luca, do you see that comp with you and Luca, or you don't really see it?
I need more. I need more games. You know what I mean? I watched a few clips today, and I've seen him. Obviously, last year. I just need to see a little bit more of a body of work, and as I'm going to do a little radio, a little TV this year, I will for sure keep my eye on him a little bit. But body of work will tell me a little bit more. Because we might be comparable, but he may have his own little style and things that he does better than me that he can, bring out there that I probably didn't have.
Well, that's a little bit of a scoop there, though. So how much radio and TV are you doing this year? So,
well, I have to return an email, actually. I know I've agreed to 5 radio games.
Okay.
And I think 5 TV games, but I think they hit me up for a few more. So I told them I'm going to check with my agent Zubair and see what we're going to.
Yeah. We got some negotiations.
Nice. How much they want to pay?
Yeah, I got your books for a couple of nights there. It's gonna be tough.
I got a kid I got to send through college now, so
5% of on air. Payment is not going to get him through too many schools. I'll tell you that.
She's going to community college, Zubair. So.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. I went to community college.
Oh, you're right. There's not.
Shout out Deanza. Great school.
For me, Pasadena City College. So.
Yeah. No, that's some really, really good insight. I talked to Luca last year, right before his after his practice before the first game he debuted, and I actually had read Sheng. You and I were talking the day before, and you had spoken to Warsofsky a little bit about what he was looking for, and I talked to him about his stick work and how he intends to angle his stick and be like, to Dan's point, like be able to skate in position to angle the players correctly. And one thing, you talked about that I thought that was interesting, Dan, is the gap control, but coming backwards, that's when you have the puck. How about when you don't have the puck, being a smaller defenseman? Do you have to close that gap a little tighter?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a height thing. The closer you are is better.
Just with stick reach.
Yeah. Whenever there's a gap, you're putting yourself, you got McKinnon coming at you, and you're, standing still. That was a big one for me. If you ever watch me play, I didn't stand still very much. Even if I was on my point, I would go in, come out, go in, come out, because I wanted to be skating, because I'm going to use McKinnon again, or God knows McDavid. I mean, if I'm standing still, skating backwards, I don't care how good of a skater I am. McDavid's going to freaking blow by me. But if I've got some momentum skating, I may, as a defenseman, I may turn and skate alongside him forward, which is obviously a faster way of skating. Obviously, I'm not saying I'm faster than McDavid, but I could angle him more efficiently if I do it that way. So if I was a coach, I would want my players to constantly moving, not getting caught standing still. Speaking of efficiency again, stops and starts. Do stop. You play in the beer league, Zubair. You do 10 stops and starts, and then do 10 without stopping. Which one are you gonna be more tired? The stops and starts are gonna kill you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I think coaches are smart. They watch players that do well, and they tools and but why you don't, if you can skate forward, why skate backwards? It's like, so there are ways to be, and he's going to watch a ton of film, and he's going to learn and figure it out.
One question I wonder. Oh, go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. Real quick follow up. When you're always moving, like how hard is it to learn timing? Like to always be like reading the play and then staying in position at the right time as you move.
I mean, I think that's where the better players probably thrive, on having better timing. That's part of being a good player. Your teammates are going to have a say in that. There's certain guys, if they had the puck, I knew I could go to a certain spot or whatever. If I'm on with the, no offense, fourth lines, but if I'm on with the fourth line, I'm probably not going to go behind the net. And, so I think it's a combination of being a good player, being so cerebral and smart, and your teammates knowing who they're on the ice with, and that chemistry.
Makes sense.
Well, I wanted to say, I don't know if we can end the podcast like we did the last episode. A lot of people thought that ending was they liked it, actually, Dan. I don't think we lost listeners.
I want to defend myself because
it took me an hour.
It took me so long because on my screen, Sheng was on the opposite end, so I'm going this way.
Why is everyone blaming me? I don't really understand this.
So you guys were saying go towards Sheng, and I was like, that way, and it was not the way that on the screen that it was reflecting, or I was that drunk. I was one of the two.
Or dyslexic.
I can't read left and right.
But anyway. my final question to Dan here is, when you're on the cart with Ryane Warsofsky, does anybody ask you, what the fuck are you doing on that podcast?
Not yet.
I don't think we talked about. I don't think we talked about. No, you know what? I did bring up the podcast. I said, hey, I just want you to, because I don't know him.
Yeah.
I said, I do want to just let you know, like, I'm doing a podcast, and I did talk about we talked about the captaincy, and I just said, I want you to hear it from me first. Just, we don't know each other, but not that he cares. And I don't have any follow-up or anything, but I just said, I just want to let you know that I went ahead socially and said that I don't think that Macklin should be the captain. No, he understood. He understood. He understood. There's no doubt he's going to be a captain one day. I wanted him to hear it from me, just so he wasn't like, oh, Boyle was like, he was
pumping you for information on.
Yeah, he was amazing. He was great. I don't, we didn't cross the line getting too intense. About. But I did want him to hear that from me first.
But
on the range, I had two people make human centipede references. So
they watched it.
That's awesome.
Let's go. Yeah. Excellent.
All right, can I do this with Dan? No, other side.
Yeah,
there you go.
Let's go. I'll go with you.
See, but look. Okay, so on my screen, Boyle's going the wrong way.
Yeah, Dan, you're going the wrong way here.
No, I'm going to Sheng though.
That's what.
Yeah.
So
Keegan, you got to go. Yeah.
Okay, I see. So on
you got to do the other hand.
On my screen, I'm going into Sheng.
Exactly.
No,
what
you're
happened
going
last week. I was in top.
So you guys are seeing otherwise?
Yep.
Last week I told
you.
you.
Now you're in. Now you're in.
Okay, so that makes.
There you go.
Keegan, I understand what you're talking about.
Thank you. All the comments were roasting me. They were like, Keegan doesn't understand direction.
I got it.
Uncoachable.
Uncoachable. It's good word.
All right. Until next time.
See you.
Until next time.
Ciao, guys.
See ya.
All right. See you, boys.
Later, boys.